Okay, I want to bring up my beautiful bride, my wife, awesomeness. She wears G on her waist. Okay, that is not Gucci, that's GG. That's what she calls
GC.
me. Oh, it says GC or GG?
Oh yeah, no, GC, okay. That's what it says.
Okay. Take it away, babe.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, hello. Woo! Hello, everybody. Thank you. So just a little recap if anyone's joined that wasn't here on our first day. As Grant said, I'm Elena Cardone. I'm Grant Cardone's wife. And yes, it is perfect that I speak today because according to Grant, and he wrote in a chapter in Sell or Be Sold, I was his greatest sale. And we've been together for almost 20 years now, so I would like to give myself a pat on the back because I don't know if you realize how difficult of a mission that was, but I do. So let me see some claps in the chat here. But this is what I want to say about the greatest sale of Grant's life, how we met. I was in a commercial shoot in downtown Los Angeles. Again, this is approximately about 20 years ago. And he was friends with the it was the director. He was friends with the director. So he shows up on set. And I don't really remember him making an impression on me so much. I dated actors and kind of musicians at the time. And Grant was this businessman, just did not register on the radar. And a couple days later, I get this phone call from Grant. And I'm thinking, how did this man get my number? And I found out that the director gave him my number from the call sheet, which is in Los Angeles. Like, that's a huge no-no. But apparently, Grant bribed the director and told him, look, dude, you're gonna give me the number. You're either gonna give it to me now, 3 hours from now, or 3 days from now, so you decide how much you wanna endure the torture, because I will get Elena Cardone's number, or I wasn't Cardone at the time, I was Elena Lyons. I will get Elena's number from you. I tell you what, sneaky Grant tells Mitch, the director, committed Grant, not sneaky, committed. Thank you for the corrections. I'm not the only one who gives corrections in our family, apparently. But he says, look, Mitch, I tell you what, you just write her number down on a piece of paper and then you can just drop it on the floor on your way out and I can get the number. That way you didn't give me the number. So anyway, cut to, I'm speaking to Grant Cardone on the phone call. And just a little backstory about me, I moved to Los Angeles when I was 17 years old, okay, by myself. So by this time, I'm in my late 20s so the point to that story is I thought I had seen it all. I thought I had couldn't experience anything so horrifying as this phone call that I had with Grant Cardone. But I'm on the phone with Grant and he proceeds to tell me, yeah, you know, people in my life tend to get better when they hang out with me. And I'm like, wow, this is, and he goes, and you know, so I can improve your life and yada, yada, yada. And by the way, I want you to get out a pen and a paper. And I'm thinking, is this dude for real? Get out a piece of a pen and a paper, and then the next time we talk, you're gonna write da-da-da-da-da, we're gonna go over it, and I'm like, click, hang up the phone with him, and that was that. I was like, this guy takes the cake. Like, who is this rich guy, because he was very rich to me at the time. I dated these rock star guys who didn't have a lot of money. I was like, who is this rich guy that comes into Hollywood and thinks he can just like buy women or impress women? I was not interested, to say the least. So, cut to every single month following that, for the next 13 months, I get 2 calls on my answering machine per month. It's Grant leaving these cute little messages. I wasn't afraid of it. It wasn't like he was stalking, although Grant says it's not stalking if it works. And so 13 months later, I hate to admit this part of the story because it does admit my shallowness, but here it is. I was a competitive sporting clay shooter at the time, and so this last message Grant left on my machine, he said, hey, I rented the shooting range if you want to go shooting with me. So I was like, oh, rich man wants to play that game, huh? And it's not a cheap sport. And so I was like, okay, we can go shoot some guns. I'll bring out my shotgun that day, and I was like, okay, I'll use him for that. Guilty as charged. Anyway, we have this interaction at the shooting range, and he's not as bad as I thought, right? And anyway, the story goes on from there, and eventually we end up together. But what I wanted to say about Grant is that he kept his word. My life did get better around him. My life has vastly improved. I mean, the guy has just been so amazing with me this entire time because, as we started to get into our relationship, it was really hard for me to let myself open up to him because I went to Los Angeles at 17 years old. I was reared to never depend on anyone. I thought that my strength and power meant I had to be alone and do it all on my own and without the help of anybody else. And so as we got in our relationship, it was really hard for me to allow myself to be in a relationship with this man. And he was very patient and very tolerant. And we get married, and for the first 4 years of our marriage, I was vying for this power position, this male-female thing. I didn't want him to tell me what to do. I didn't want to seem like he could control me. I was fighting him all the time to be bigger, more powerful, whatever. And so for the first 4 years of our relationship, we could have gone a lot further together, but I felt like we were each creating on our own thing and then coming home and kind of tearing each other down because we weren't on the same page. But those 4 years, Grant was very, very compassionate and very tolerant, and he made it okay for me to trust a man because he has always been worthy of trust, and he's always just done what he said he was going to do. And I just never thought I could actually ever trust a man, depend on a man. And so 2008 came along. Before I tell you about 2008, I just want to tell you this man has an ambition to help people on this planet. He wants people to receive financial freedom for their families. And in 2008, when the economy collapsed, I was pregnant with our first child. We were under a lawsuit. We had the banks coming after us. It was really scary. I remember seeing Grant watching the news when Lehman's collapsed. And Grant had always been like this superhero, a very powerful person that I looked up to. And I saw him go white when the Lehman's collapsed. And he was watching the news, and he got really scared. I've never seen that before. And so I asked him, I'm pregnant, and I was like, what does this mean? And he looks at me and he says, oh, it means we're gonna die. And I was like, we're gonna die? Do I look like death to you? Does this look like death to you? And I said, no. I don't die. You promised me on that first phone call with me that people in your life get better when they get with you. They don't die. You never mentioned anything about death. You made a promise to me on that first phone call, and I expect you to figure this thing out. So I said, you go to your room, your office, which at the time was just our house in Los Angeles. There was no office, there was no staff, it was his office down the hall. So I'm like, you go to your office and don't you come out until you figure this thing out. I was gonna be really tough and really strong with him. And so 3 hours went by. I was really worried, actually, because I kept thinking, man, should I go bring him something to eat? Should I get him some water? And I thought, no, I have to be tough. 3 hours later, comes back, and he puts a book in my hand that he's just written, like this manuscript, and he puts it in my hands and he says, look, I just wrote my first book. It's not gonna make us rich, but I understand what I have to do to get us out of trouble, and I will never make you worry about money ever again. And he kept his word on that too. And so it was at that time when I looked at this man who needed my help, who has always been there for me, has always loved me, has never betrayed me, and he needed my help, and I had a decision to make. And so in 2008, I decided I'm going all in on Grant Cardone. I, Elena Cardone, am going all in on a man. The complete opposite of how I was raised. I thought women everywhere were going to despise me for trading in my acting career in order to trade up to the possibility of this life that we've created that did not look like this back then. I thought they were just gonna ridicule me for supporting a man. And then I just looked at my life and I said, you know, for these imaginary voices in my head, am I gonna listen to these imaginary women that don't even exist? Not one woman has come up to my face and told me they didn't like me because I support my husband. But at the time, that was a different picture. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna support this man. I'm gonna bring everything that I can bring into getting onto the same page with this guy. And we're gonna build something called an empire. Because Grant came out of that room and he said, we've been being too small. We've been acting too small. We've been doing one vertical. We needed to go horizontal. And the reason we got into trouble is because we've been being normal. And normal is a dangerous place to be because it gives you the illusion that everything is okay until it's not. It only takes one thing, like an economic collapse or a lawsuit or a death in the family, and whack, you're whacked out. But Grant said, if we have this strength, if we get into this power, if we get into an empire, if we build something big enough, it can sustain any kind of a hit. It can take a dip and still proceed to flourish and prosper and be bigger and greater on the other side. And that's the moment when I said, I am going to support you. We're going to build this thing called an empire. So we did 3 things that got us on the same page. We both got aligned on our purpose. It was no longer what is Elena's goals, what is Grant's goals. It was, what are our goals? What are the couple's goals? Who are we together? Who are we as a couple? And we came up with, we want to reach 8 billion people on planet Earth. We want to open the curtain up. We want to reveal how we made it, if we were ever to make it. We put the target at 8 billion people. It was so unfathomable at the time. And then I had to go and lay on a couple years later, you need to be a billionaire, which Grant wanted to lose his mind and absolutely strangle me. He was like, what are you talking about? You don't have to push and shove and hammer. You don't have to do it. You get to say it. I said, Grant, you need to be a billionaire because you will get the attention. Your products and services will have exchanged with enough people in order to make you a billionaire. You will have had to have exchanged with people. You will have had to have become something greater than you are now. You are big enough. You are powerful enough. You deserve to be at the top. You have a message that can help people. People deserve you. The people, the billionaires at the top right now, they're not helping people. They're not opening the curtains. They're not here giving stuff away for practically free. They're not doing it. They don't look at their families. Their families aren't up here. Their wives aren't up here. Their kids aren't speaking on stages. They don't have the whole package. They have to hide behind closed doors. They have something to hide. We have nothing to hide. We might not be perfect, but we have nothing to hide. So I support my husband, okay? There's a story that I came across that helped me in this alliance with my husband. The story that I came across was about the Clydesdale horses. It's my favorite story of all time because it really resonated with me. You know those big Clydesdale horses, the Budweiser horses? Well, one of those horses can pull 8,000 pounds alone. A single horse can pull 8,000 pounds. But two horses together, side by side, can pull, you would think it would be 16,000 pounds, right? No, you would be wrong. The two together can pull 32,000 pounds. 32. That's 3 times the amount they could do singularly. But what's even more mind-blowing than that is those same two horses, if they learn how to work in a coordinated, collaborated effort, you know, harness side by side, if they've been trained to work together, they can pull 42,000 pounds. 42, that's 4 times the one horse can do on its own. So that's when I really decided, you know what? Grant and I, we have to figure out our roles. This can no longer be about male, female. It cannot be about us fighting each other. We have to come together. If we're going to survive 2008, you're going to go figure out the business piece out, and I'm going to help us figure out this personal side, this family side. And we're going to figure out who does what in our relationship. We're going to figure out our roles based on our strengths and our weaknesses, not male, female. Just so happens our relationship is a little more traditional looking because he is really amazing in business, and I know that's traditionally like the man's job, you know. But it just so turns out that Grant is amazing in business. So we appointed Grant to be the boss of the business, and I happen to be really good at the behind-the-scenes operations, doing what I do. I'm the boss of the family. So we figured out who does what. I get to be the boss of all of these areas. He gets to be the boss of all of these areas. And we started working together towards this goal of 8 billion people. When Grant reaches you, I win. I helped him. I take credit for your successes as much as Grant because his wins are my wins. And the kids take credit for those as well because they're on Team Cardone. When they allow him to be here without causing problems that are distracting his attention and he can be here with you, they get credit for your wins as well. And same with the whole team, etc. So we figured out who does what on our roles to work together. What this did was it fortified us as a group. A group is 2 or more. Grant and I actually became a group for the first time. You would think it was on our wedding day when we married and took our vows, but no. We actually came together for real in 2008 when we decided to have each other's back and stop fighting each other and fighting the enemies that were going to be there. The enemies are the ones in the world and the people out there that don't want to see you win, that don't want to see families stay together, that believe families and people should be single and think that they have to do everything all on their own because it makes you weaker. There's strength in numbers, right? So those are our enemies, not each other. We had to figure out who has to do what. Grant has the final say when it comes to business, no matter what. I found the one I trust, and I built an empire. I trust him in his job. He trusts me with my job. I do my job at 100%, and he does his job at 100%, and together, we're 200%. We're not 50-50. We're not half-assing it. We're together on the same mission. We want to see you win. We want to see you succeed. We want to see other people win like us, who defy all the odds. You can get along with the people in your life. It didn't start out with us in the very beginning where we were just I was perfectly supportive. We were on the same page. We worked through things. We grew each other. We grew into these. We started applying these principles. We figured out our purpose. We figured out our roles. And the last thing we decided to do was we decided to live from the future instead of the past. We decided we're not doing normal anymore. Normal people live from the past into the present, because that's the way the linear line goes, and that's the way we're supposed to believe and think. But why? Time's all an illusion. Why can't I live from the future into the present? Because when Grant and I had been living from the past to the present, everything was so hard. Nothing seemed to work. We would do this wouldn't work, that wouldn't work. We were fighting each other. All these past principles, past let go, past old mindsets, you know, even from me thinking I had to be alone and be independent, powerful woman. All these things came from my past, wasn't letting us win into the future. We had to be willing to give up something in order to get where we want to go. And that's when we decided to let go from the past. And we created our future. And what was in our future? What did we look like as a couple? How strong were we? What do our children look like in the future? What does our home look like? What are the people in our lives look like? What are our core values? What do we stand for? What will we allow in our empire, and what won't we allow in our empire? And we built this beautiful picture of who we wanted to be in the future. And all we did was we reverse engineered what we had to do in order to create that picture into a reality. So it no longer depended on anything or past failures from the past. I was gone. We were gone from that, severed. So we did this, just like anyone out there who wants to transform their body, right? You would get with the person who would know how to get you the right nutrition, put you on a workout regime, get you the right foods, etc. If you followed that program strictly, right, in about 2 months, your body would start to transform, and by 6 months to a year, you have a different body, right? It's just math. It's the same thing for the future. It's just not with a body, right? If you create it and you get with the right people, okay, Grant has the right information. He has the right systems. Okay, he's got this all ready for you. All you have to do is figure out the program. You have to check the boxes. If you want to become this in the future, reverse engineer. What do you have to do? I have to do the negotiating and closing masterclass. I have to do X, Y, Z, the communication, the sales system, the dot, da, 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 da. When you go through that, knowing who you're going to become in the future, every single program works. This is no longer open to failure because you're not connected to your past anymore. You're now going into your future. If you want to get there, you do and apply what you choose. Your mentors are telling you to go. It's your little prescription for success. And when you go through that, you have success every single time. So I will tell you, I support my husband. I'm unapologetic about that. Support means to show active interest in the success of. Support means strong enough to bear the weight of, right? Like a support beam. So how strong must I be to support the Grant Cardone, the kids, the everything that comes with the Grant Cardone universe? How strong must I become? I'm unapologetic with who I am and how much I support my husband, because we wouldn't be here. Neither one of us would be at this level without each other's support. And before I wrap up here today, the last thing I'll say about Grant is, well, before that, I want to tell you one last thing. I thought this was so amazing. I looked up the word wealthy in the dictionary. You know, because so many people have so much confusion about wealthy. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Whenever there's so much confusion around words, I always look them up. So I looked up the word wealthy in the dictionary, and the origin of the word wealthy comes from the word well plus healthy. Well plus healthy. Healthy. So it is very healthy to be wealthy. And if you are not wealthy, you are not well, and you are not healthy. So I don't know why you made sense of not being wealthy, but it is your right to be wealthy. It is there for you. There is nothing wrong with it. It is well plus healthy. So I encourage you all to change your mindset and go for what it is that you want to go. Get together with your partners. Get on the same page. You know, you don't have to learn all of this on your own without support in your household. You just have to get the people in your life on the same mission. That requires sales, right? That requires you letting them in, opening the door. Let them know what your goals are. Grant let me know his goals are. He wanted to have 8 billion people be financially free because they benefited from his products and services. That's a mission I can support. Do your partners even know what your purpose is? Have you even talked to them? Who are we together? How do you include them? Get them in. You don't have to do this all alone. You have people here to help you. You have Grant here to help you. You have his team here to help you. You have me here to help you. You can have your household and your friends and your family there to help you. And if you talk with your friends and your family and they're not really wanting to help you after numerous conversations and inviting in and figuring out, hey, what do you need and want from me? And what do I need and want from you? What are our roles? How can we help each other? If you know it's finally going nowhere, how do you distance yourself? How do you stop? How do you stop wanting them to give you something they're not capable of? You put them in a compartment. You know, there are certain family members that I can't eliminate. They're my family, but they're not going to be on the same goals as I am. So I put them in a category. They're my family category. What do I want from my family? My family, I want experiences from. I want unconditional love. I want comfort. So I don't need to go to my family and try to tell them at turkey dinner, hey, I got this great thing and I'm doing so much and Grant and I are da-da-da, and they're like, pass the salt. And then I get upset with them because they don't get excited and they don't show enthusiasm and they don't get me and they're never trying to, you know, they're trying to hold me back. It is what it is. I just be family with them. I just have family experiences with them, you know? My business people I can do that with. My business I want to expand to the world, right? So I can share my wins with you guys and you can get it. I can share my wins with my staff because they get it. I'm not going to my staff for my family experiences. I'm not going to my staff for my unconditional love, and I'm definitely not going to the staff for my comfort. That's separate. This helps you put your relationships in categories so you can function better in life. But you got to get around the people who support you and show active interest in the success of you, and you have to distance yourself from the people that don't. So getting on the same page is really important. And I just wanted to tell you that if there's anything you ever need from Grant or myself, we truly are here for you. We want to reach 8 billion people on planet Earth. We want to help you. If I let Grant retire at 90 years old, I have 25 more years, okay? We're trying to reach 8 billion people. I don't know if I can do it. It means I have to reach, if I have 25 years, 320 million people a year. We're not doing it alone. Grant and I cannot do this alone. I've learned that. I learned that the hard way. I thought I had to be alone, and then I found the power of two, my partner. And then I realized, wow, how big we could go together. But that's not enough. Now it's you, it's the community, it's the globe. What can we do together? How powerful can we be together? You and I can change the world. I believe that. I don't believe it's these politicians. I believe it is you and us together taking responsibility for our families, for our wealth, for our communities. We can change the world. We can forward it. We can help people. Help and be helped is a very sane point. So, Grant looked up that definition too. If you look up the definition of grant in the dictionary, the origin of the word means to guarantee. It means a guarantee. Grant is a guarantee. You bet on Grant, you are not betting on perfect, but you are betting on a guarantee. Because the one thing I know from this man, from being with him for 20 years, is that that man would die before he would dishonor his name, or his family, or his staff, or his investors, or you, or mankind. So I know Pete's over here over my back. Thank you guys for letting me speak to you today, for letting me share our message. You can have your family lives work. You deserve to have your family lives work. All of this information can reach a heightened level of success if you figure out how to get these people in your life on the same page, okay? They can work with you. 2 or more is greater than 1. Always. Strength in numbers. God bless you all. Thank you.
Guys, give it up for Elena Cardone. Give it up for Elena.